Okay, so let's talk about something every single company is wrestling with right now. They're all sitting on this absolute mountain of data. But what if that treasure is also their biggest weakness? That's the paradox we're digging into today. Unstructured data. Is it a ticking time bomb, or is it a gold mine just waiting to be claimed?
All right, let me just throw a number at you. 80%. That's how much of the data inside a typical company is what we call unstructured. We're talking about everything. The emails, the contracts, the design documents, the intellectual property, the actual lifeblood of the business.
But here's where it gets really scary. That same 80% of data, it's involved in 80% of all data breaches. Just let that sink in for a second. The vast majority of your information is also the most vulnerable. This isn't just some small leak in the boat. The whole bottom is about to fall out. It is a fundamental security crisis.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Companies are pouring billions into building bigger walls and stronger gates around their networks, but they're totally missing the point. The real treasure, all that sensitive, unstructured data, is just sitting out in the open, right in the middle of the courtyard for any insider to walk away with.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to take a closer look at that gold in the courtyard. Then we'll break down exactly why the old ways of security just don't work anymore. After that, we'll introduce a totally new way of thinking, meet the solutions built for this new world, and finally, show how you can turn this huge liability into an incredible asset.
So let's start right there, with the heart of the problem. What is this gold in the courtyard, and what's the unseen danger that it represents?
So, what is this stuff really? Well, unstructured data is basically all the messy, human stuff that makes a business run. It's not neat little rows and columns like a spreadsheet. It's your contracts, your secret formulas, your private emails, your future business plans. It's everywhere, and it contains your most valuable secrets. Okay, so if this data is so critical, why are we so bad at protecting it? Well, the answer lies in why the old guards, the traditional security tools, are failing so spectacularly against the kinds of threats we face today. It really boils down to 4 critical failures. First off, this whole idea of a secure perimeter, a wall around your company, it's completely broken. Second, VPNs, which we all thought were the answer for remote work, have actually become a huge liability. Third, you've got this new risk from what's called agentic AI. That's AI that can act on its own, and we are not ready for it. And finally, our data is just scattered everywhere, on servers and different clouds, making it a nightmare to manage.
And this shows you the disconnect perfectly. We're still fighting the old war, focused on securing the network, the pipes that data travels through. But the new threats, they're already inside. They move sideways, they launch ransomware. And pretty soon, you'll have autonomous AI agents accessing data with zero human supervision. We are trying to fight a modern war with muskets.
So this all leads us to a crucial turning point. We need a completely new way to think about security. A paradigm shift that stops focusing on protecting a location and starts focusing on protecting the data itself. And this is exactly where a solution like FileFlex Enterprise comes into the picture. It represents this fundamental shift. It's all about creating a true data layer for what's called zero-trust security.
Here's the most important thing to get. It doesn't matter anymore if your data is on a server, in the office, in the cloud, or on a laptop at a coffee shop. The security has to be attached to the file. It has to travel with the file. We have to stop guarding the building and start guarding each individual gold bar.
I love this analogy because it makes it so clear. Imagine instead of one giant clumsy bank vault, every single document, every piece of jewelry is locked in its own tiny, intelligent micro-vault. It never moves, but it's wrapped in this impenetrable layer of security that only opens for the right person, at the right time, and only for the right reason. So how do we actually build these micro-vaults? Well, let's meet the new protectors, the systems designed for this modern world, FileFlex Enterprise and something called Guardian AI. First up is FileFlex, and probably the best way to get your head around it is to think of it as a teleportation lens. It's a totally different way of thinking about getting to your files.
Think of it like this. You've got your top secret files locked away in a vault. Now the old way, the VPN way, is to basically give someone a key and let them walk into the vault. Risky, right? FileFlex gives you a secure lens instead. You could look through it, you can read the document, you can even edit it, but the physical document itself never ever leaves the vault. It doesn't move an inch. No risky travel, no open door for a hacker to sneak through.
Okay, that's great for human access.
But what about that coming wave of AI? For that, you need a totally different kind of protector. And that's Guardian AI. Think of it as your incorruptible chief of staff.
So imagine you've got these powerful AI assistants running around your company, doing work for you. They're super smart, but they have zero common sense when it comes to privacy or security. Well, Guardian AI is like that hyper-competent chief of staff who stands over their shoulder 24/7. If an AI assistant tries to do something dumb, like email a confidential file to the wrong person, that chief of staff physically steps in and blocks the action before it happens. It provides that critical layer of judgment and governance for an autonomous world.
Now, this technology is really cool. But what's the bottom line? What does this actually mean for a business? Well, that brings us to the final and maybe most important step, turning that massive liability into a powerful strategic asset.
And the journey is actually pretty simple. You start where most companies are today, with unstructured data as a chaotic mess, a huge security nightmare. Then you apply FileFlex and Guardian AI, and suddenly you have governance, control, and visibility. And that's when the magic happens. That data transforms into a structured, secure, and AI-ready asset that can create unbelievable value.
This last analogy really brings it all home. It's like you have a priceless collection of art and letters, but it's all just stuffed randomly into boxes in your attic. It's a liability. This solution is like hiring a master archivist who comes in, organizes everything, puts it in a beautiful, high-security gallery, and unlocks its true value. What was once chaos becomes your most valuable, usable asset.
Look, we're moving into an era where autonomous AI agents are going to be running huge parts of our businesses, and they'll be using our most sensitive data to do it. The old walls and the old guards just won't cut it. So the question you have to ask yourself is this: who or what is going to be guarding your gold?